Good morning, YouTube. It's time for another movie review, this time of Ferrari, starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. But also, we are going to list our 3 favorite car movies ever. But let's start with a Siskel and Ebert tribute on Ferrari.
Okay.
Get your thumb ready.
Okay.
And
working it out.
2 thumbs up.
Yes.
Very much. A great movie starring Adam Driver as an older Ferrari, late middle age, and it's really just a snapshot in his life in 1957. His son had recently passed away after a long battle with cerebral palsy and kidney issues, and he was leading up to his company in trouble, hoping to save everything by winning the Mille Miglia in 1957, which is a very ill-fated race which actually ended the Mille Miglia because it was such a dangerous thing. 1,000 miles in Italy racing as fast as you want. It's crazy that they did it anyway. But yeah, Ferrari did win in 1957, but it was marred by a crash where they killed, I think, 9 people, most of them children, in this accident, killing the driver and the navigator as well. So it covers all of that moment in history, but it's much more of a relationship movie than it is a car movie.
Right, but it was interesting because there's a lot of movies like the Versace movie or the Marilyn Monroe movie recently where they go into a little too many details, like how do you really know that happened? Where this movie I felt like kind of stayed away from those little tiny minuscule, thoughts and ideas that they didn't just make up in their head for the storyline, because there's no way that you can get these intricate relationships right. So they kind of just played the basics of the storyline. So I could see how you might not enjoy the movie if you're not a huge fan of Ferrari, because there's not a lot of details in the relationships.
I would say yes, but then there's a little bit of embellishment, like there's one fight that they had, and Penelope Cruz is Ferrari's wife, and gets out the gun and shoots the wall right next to him. I wonder if that actually happened. She used to do the payroll for the company. They were partners in this company together, and she would handle the money, a lot of the business stuff. So she needed a gun to, carry the checks and all the money around to pay the employees. But did she use it when they fought? Probably not. I don't know.
I feel like that's a serious detail. Like, you can't just make up, I shot my husband and I missed on purpose, but I shot right at him. Like, she's like point blank, but obviously she missed on purpose.
But because it's Italy in the 50s, or really anywhere in the 50s, of course, this guy had a whole second affair with another woman for over a decade, another son, another family. So that it's much more of a relationship movie, and covering all that more. And the car race, the Mille Miglia, didn't show up until the last quarter of the movie. And then it was very much a racing movie in that instance. And,
now, you've driven in the Mille Miglia.
I have.
With a very special car.
I have the medal, yes, that I got at the end. So they started reenacting the race about 30 years ago. After they shut it down in 1957. And so the cars have to be older than 1957 to race in the reunion. And there's a lot of rules. You're not trying to be the fastest or any of that kind of stuff. It's a rally. It's timed. You want to get as close to the time as possible and do some other things. But you still get to drive fast and have a lot of fun. Go 1,000 miles in Italy. I did it in a 300 SL Gullwing. I had a co-driver who was ex-Formula 1 racer, Carl Wendlinger. And did some sketchy things in a multi-million-dollar car.
What do you mean, sketchy things?
Well, there
Italy?
There was one bad pass where it was a dip, and I didn't see a little car coming, and I'm in a multi-million-dollar Mercedes about to have a head-on with somebody else, and it's a priceless Porsche Spider next to me to move out. Thankfully, it didn't, but he said "Scheiße" when I did it. My co-driver shook him up a little bit, but you're driving really fast. You're supposed to drive these cars hard. You have a police escort, and they're escorting you. You want to follow them at the speed that they want to. It's pretty intense.
So did you drive the whole time?
I drove the whole last day myself in the Gullwing.
Got it.
There were some of these old Ferraris there. Just the imagery of it, just seeing all these cars being worked, being used, and they were getting damaged just like in the races back in the day. There was one that had been rear-ended and had been duct taped, and there were a few accidents, minor accidents, but I don't think anybody seriously hurt, even in the reenactment. But in the movie, it was a big accident, and I guess one knock of the movie, if I had one criticism, the CGI, did you notice?
It was okay. I didn't notice. It didn't pull me out of the movie where it was bad enough. Like that big crash during the race that hit the townspeople that are waiting, and they're just waving as the cars are going by.
The crash that ended the race.
The crash that ended the race indefinitely, because there is no more race after 1957. But it killed how many people
I think nine, and
9
most of them
people,
children. Yeah.
and in the movie, it is so explicit that you can see exactly what happened. Well, not exactly what happened, but you see body parts flying and people just getting tossed around like they're just pieces of paper
We were
and
wondering
rag
why it was a
dolls.
rated R rating up until that moment,
Yeah,
because
that
it is
moment.
super graphic, and the whole movie, it feels like a race. And when they got to that scene, and I remembered this happening just in the history books and just from me doing it, and then I realized, oh no, I had completely forgotten. Like, I thought, okay, it's gonna be a racing movie, there's gonna be this triumphant ending, and then I
Right.
realized when they started to build up this scene, I was like, oh no.
Right.
And really, Ferrari was blamed for this. It was tires. They chose not to change their tires at the last bit of the race, and they were blaming him for that. But it was actually hit an obstacle on the road that blew the tire.
Right.
But it took several years for
Right.
Ferrari to clear his name. I
Right.
think it wasn't until 1961 where he was
Right.
finally cleared of all charges. And yeah, hi Neelix.
Hi, Neelix.
Hey, let go of April. Let go.
She's not
clawed
going
in.
to.
Let go. Yeah, so that was terrible. But the CGI, there was another death. To get that driver that died in the Mille Miglia, they did recreate an accident in practice with
Yeah.
another one. That one felt really fake in CGI. And then the cars, you could tell when they were using cheap fiberglass replicas a little bit, and how they were kind of muddying up the cars in the paint to avoid reflections with cameras and things.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it kind of looks like a Ferrari, but it looks
Right.
kind of cheap. And then when they would use the real stuff, it was so obvious when it was something that
Yeah.
was
But
real.
you don't want to mess up the real deal, the real car, just
Obviously.
from making a movie.
I mean, it was
So
the
get
same
it.
with Ford versus Ferrari when you watch that movie, and you could tell when they
Right.
weren't exactly real. But this one, it was a little more obvious to me.
Right.
And obviously, what was cool about this movie, they covered a snapshot. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like a point in time, like a few months of this man's life, rather than like a big biopic covering
Right.
decades, which I figured with Adam Driver,
Mm-hmm.
being much younger than he is actually in film, they do some flashbacks, but he's playing a much older man
Oh
in this
yeah,
movie.
yeah, and he's kind of has this big pillow underneath his
And April has a thing for
stomach.
Adam Driver, and so
I mean, come on, how could you not?
well, he's kind of goofy looking, but
He's cool. I love him. But they made him into just. I didn't believe that was an actual body. Like they could have done a little bit better because he just looked like a little Oompa Loompa-y.
he
A little
looked like
weird.
Ferrari in the pictures.
Yeah?
I mean, like back in the day, they did a good job, I thought.
I think yeah. Well, I mean, he did a great job with his acting. and-
Because yeah, he wasn't a buff,
Right.
fit man
Right.
by the time in 1957.
Right.
So
Right.
if Adam did it and insisted on being his normal self, that would be
No.
a little
And that's
weird.
what makes him a great actor because he's committed to the role.
Yeah, like Christian
100%.
Bale, completely transforming himself for roles like I guess you can put a pillow in your stomach or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that didn't detract from your enjoyment of Adam Driver.
No, I think it was. Adam Driver was in it. I didn't notice. Okay. Mhm. Okay.
So overall, 2 thumbs up. The issues, very minor. But I guess what you would compare it by recently in recent memory, Ford versus Ferrari,
Right.
very different movie.
Yeah, Ford vs. Ferrari is more of a Hollywood production, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like bigger all around. Where this one seemed more artistic. Is that fair to say?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yes. It felt like much more intimately getting to know
Mm-hmm.
this character and this man. And there's so many stories about Ferrari, and he comes off as kind of a jerk in a lot of this, but you can just see how driven he is
Right.
and how, what his motivations are. But then a lot of the jerk comes out
Yeah.
as well in this. But
I mean, was there any pieces that you feel like were missing? Like for me, I wanted to get to know Penelope Cruz's character, which was Ferrari's first wife. I say first because I don't know if he
I don't
remarried.
think he remarried, yeah.
So Laura Ferrari, and I just want to know how she got involved in it a little more, and how she really was a partner in the business, and kind of to get into her character a little more. 'Cause she seemed very interesting. Penelope Cruz is a great actress, and you just kind of give her any role in lines, and she takes off with it. And I feel like that's the only thing that I just wanted to hear a little bit more about her story.
Yeah, very much in that period, she's just in mourning and then discovers this decade-plus long affair and
Right.
a child, another son,
Right.
after her own son died. And
Right.
I guess divorce was illegal in Italy up until a certain period, but back then it definitely
Right.
was. So.
And so I just there's a little part of me that had a question. So at the end of the movie, they're trashing Ferrari for having not changed their tires, having bad tires. Laura Ferrari suggests to Enzo, hey, let's pay off reporters to get your name good, to get Ferrari back on top. Let's shine a good light on this and take away from being the scapegoat. But is there a chance, is there a possibility that Ferrari just paid that much money so that they wouldn't be blamed and to rewrite history to change that? Like, do we have proof
no, it was all
that they didn't
settled out
change
in
the
court.
tires? Right.
It was all settled out in court, and very much, I very went over a fine-tooth comb
Right.
because it was a major accident.
Yeah.
So, and it took years of litigation to get it done. So I would say Ferrari was cleared of that. It's a race that never should have happened anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It's just an insane risk to the public that it just never should have happened.
Right.
Like in Germany, they had the German Grand Prix going on at the same time. They crashed into the stands and killed way more people.
Right.
I don't know, a year maybe before that, or maybe a year after.
Right.
But it like a massive fireball into the stands, and it was a terrible thing. But that was in a closed course in a track and went over a guardrail and
Right.
flipped. I think the biggest impression I got out of this movie for me is motor racing back then. So dangerous. When they
dangerous.
started the race, I
Yeah.
wanted to go get out my Ferrari, my 599, a V12 six-speed manual, and just row through the hear that V12
Yeah.
roar and just drive the hell out of it. And then after the movie, I had no desire to go get in that car because the driver was cut in half and everything else. And it
But
was
they're
like,
all open cockpit, and
Yeah.
they have
Oh, yeah, very
barely any
dangerous.
helmets on, or racing suits are, they weren't wearing racing suits. They're just all flammable clothing. They're pouring the gas in the filler, and it's splashing all over, getting on the driver. Like, it was a different time.
these
and
people
it was dangerous.
were crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an obsession, a love of racing, but the risks that you took, and all of them just writing letters to their wives in case they die before the
Right.
big race, or their girlfriends. It's just like,
Right.
it's insane.
They're like test pilots, fighter jet test pilots. Exactly what they were.
So what was your impression of the movie? What was the thing that really stuck with you?
There was this actor. His name's Adam Driver. Yeah, is it? Do you remember him
I
in
do.
there? I remember him.
Yeah.
What were you talking about?
Yeah. Here.
He does have big
Does
ears.
this help you?
He does have big
Oh,
ears.
he's a good looking.
No, I think
I'm
they're
just being
great.
jealous.
They're
Yeah.
great actors. I am glad that they took this story serious and put an amazing actor like Adam Driver in the lead role, and of course Penelope Cruz, stunning, but most of all a brilliant actress. And so I think they filled the roles correctly, because there's no one else that I could think of to cast as Enzo Ferrari. Like, who would you put instead of Adam Driver?
I don't know. I guess he played the Italian with that Lady Gaga movie or
Yeah.
whatever, and was it Versace or what? I don't know the names of the
Yeah.
designers. What was it?
Versace.
It was Versace. Okay. Are you sure? Or is it Louis Vuitton? Or was it no? That's French.
Versace.
It's like Gucci. No, it was Gucci. House of Gucci.
You totally got me, actually.
House of Gucci. See, she didn't know. It wasn't Versace. It was House of
I'm sitting
Gucci.
here making fun of you. You totally got me.
That's yeah. See, I don't know design. Like I know cars. I don't
You
know
do
designers
know
in fashion.
designers.
No. But
So-
does it go into your top 3 favorite car movies? Do you think?
This one,
Mm-hmm.
not the top 3, because there's so many good ones. Like, what's your top 3? Like, what's your number
My
3
top
in
3?
the top 3?
Well, it's easy. Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Those are my 3 favorite
Are you
car
serious
movies.
right now?
Of course.
Are you serious?
No,
serious?
no.
Okay.
Some people maybe.
There have been a lot of questionable things that I've
Come
learned about
on.
you, but that would be like, the
Yeah.
door is there and I'm out here.
Tokyo Drift is fire.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but like, for real, is Fast and Furious on your list of top 3?
Maybe the first one. I don't know.
I get it. It
The
created
first
a
one
phenomenon.
because it caught me at the right time and
Yeah.
the right age, and
Right.
rewatching it's so nostalgic.
Yeah.
And the cars in it and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. One that really springs to my head, and even though it's a Disney animated movie, it's Cars. I think Cars is just so good.
I've never
The
seen
first Cars movie.
Never seen it.
Really? Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow,
Yeah.
ka-chow.
No, I've never seen
It's
it.
such a good story,
Yeah.
and it's got the right heart. He's like an egotistical NASCAR, top of his game, and he's just sort of a jerk to everybody.
Right.
And he falls off his truck at night. Mack truck he falls out, and in this small town that was a big town when Route 66 was a thing, and now the interstate highways shut down the town. And he does something where it tears up the roads, and he has to go and sort of pay his debt to society
Right.
there. And in the meantime, he just sort of rediscovers himself as a racer, and comes back. And it's just a great story. You need to watch it. You'll
do need
like
to
it.
watch it.
Okay, what's your first one?
Was that your favorite? number
it's
one?
in top 3. I would say that's number 3. Yeah.
Okay, that's number 3. And
Yeah.
your number 2 was?
Oh, yeah, you go. What's your number 3?
Number 3, I'd say Ford versus Ferrari.
You think so?
Yeah,
And
that's
you like it better than the
Christian
Ferrari
Bale.
movie?
Yeah, I just love that story of the GT40 winning Le Mans 66, 67, 68, and literally like America is just disrespected in the world stage of racing. And then finally Ford, Carroll Shelby comes through with the GT40, and it's like we get respect. Not just Ford, not just racing, but America as a whole became respected on the world stage of racing. And I'm just like, this is a beautiful fairy tale that needs to be told, and I think they did a
And Enzo
brilliant
Ferrari's
job.
in that movie
Right.
being a jerk because it's all kicked off because they want to buy Ferrari, and Enzo
Right.
tells them to basically go, I think he just says, go F yourself.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
to these guys.
And it's just such a
And that's what
prize
triggers it
car.
all. Yeah.
I love it.
It is a great story, and Carroll Shelby is just larger than life.
Right.
And yeah, really neat story, the whole legacy of
Yeah,
that, and they
so-
covered it so well.
Yeah,
I agree.
so that's my number 3.
Okay.
My number 2 is Christine.
Christine.
For obvious
The
reasons.
Stephen King novel made into a movie
Yes.
in like the, what year was
Early
it? Early
80s.
80s? Yeah.
1958 Plymouth Fury, baby. They don't make cars like that anymore.
Yeah, a possessed car. A guy buys a car, becomes so obsessed.
I like it because I feel like when you're a real car person, your cars have a personality.
1983.
Like I kind of get dogged on people because I'll refer to a lot of cars as she, and they're like, "Why do you always say that?" And it's just because they're more than a thing. And so I just attach a personality to cars. And so that's why Christine is up there.
The cool part of that movie is the practical effects because they
Yeah.
had no CGI in that movie. So you see, the CGI kind of took me out. In this movie, like they had to figure out the car gets crushed in
Oh, a
Christine,
lot, yeah.
and the way they did it was using a hydraulic press to actually suck in the car and crush it, and then they just reverse the footage to make it seem like it's healing itself.
Yeah.
And the car is literally in flames on fire, head to tail,
Yeah.
and they actually have the car set on fire driving down the road. It's not
So
CGI
good.
flames. It's real as he runs this person down, like
Yeah.
crashes into a gas station, explodes, the car comes out in flames. Like the practical effects of this movie, really good.
It's so
really
good.
good.
Well, because they used, I think, about 16 cars to do it with. They didn't have the CGI like you're saying. So this is the real deal. That's what's your number 1 car movie?
Well, I didn't do number 2 yet.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is one that's not as well known. It's a James Garner movie called Grand Prix in 1966. Most people would favor Steve McQueen's Le Mans, which was made in sort of the same period of time. But this one, the opening scene and the cinematography is just so good. It's like they did a race coverage of Formula One in 2023 and was able to do it in 1966. And the opening scene is Monaco, the Monte Carlo race in 1966, and the shots they're able to do. They actually use a Ford GT race car as a camera car. You don't see the car, but that's what they use because it's bulky enough to mount the cameras onto this thing to do the courses in the race. And they actually took a break in filming because they were having trouble getting access to all these European manufacturers and road courses and things. So they were able to film Monaco. And then they sent the footage to Ferrari because Enzo Ferrari's like, I don't want to mess with these American people. James Garner, no.
Peasants.
And they sent them the footage, showed them what they were doing.
Right.
And they were so impressed that it gave them full access to everything.
That's great.
So it is such an amazing snapshot in time, about 10 years after the Ferrari movie.
Yeah.
And the races. And then once again, it's more of a human story as well because it falls around the women having to deal with these racing drivers that are so reckless and crazy and all the wearing and things and that and the locations. Everything's just so beautifully shot. And just a cool movie. And James Garner's great.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. I didn't think you'd seen it. So we need to sit down and watch that one.
Yeah.
But
That and Cars.
Just the opening sequence of Monaco
Yeah.
and just seeing that in period and all the angles that they shot were like, because back then they didn't have in-car cameras capturing the drivers. They didn't have forward-facing cameras capturing that. They didn't have the drones, the helicopters and the sky view and all that stuff. But they did all that in 1966,
That's
and it
great.
just feels so modern in that sense.
Right. And well, and that's why Christine was such a good movie because there's no CGI. They're actually using these cars. They can't get around it.
Yeah.
Like, what's your number 1?
You go first.
Really? I don't think you're gonna beat my number 1.
Okay.
There's no chance. I'm gonna give you a hint. Okay, they're on a mission from God.
Blues Brothers?
Yes, are you crazy?
That's not a car
Yeah,
movie.
it is.
They jump an old...
1978 Dodge. Was it a 78? Maybe
Yeah.
74. It was so great. Are you kidding me?
They have some chase scenes and
Greatest.
some jumps
Oh,
and
some
things.
huge
I mean,
chase
because you could say like
scenes.
Steve McQueen's a great car movie, but the chase is it's a good, the most famous car chase, best car chase of all time. The movie's pretty weak, so.
No.
But like it's a car movie, but it's just the chase.
You
So
know what
Steve,
I'm
like
talking about.
Blues Brothers has
Oh,
their
yeah.
chase and their
Oh,
car, but.
Oh yeah,
It's
like
a
when they're
car movie.
sitting like in the tunnel trying to hide from the cops and getting away, and they're like, "We have 106 miles to Chicago, half pack of cigarettes, and our sunglasses on," and then they're just like, "Hit it!" Like that
Wow.
is the greatest line in cinema history.
There's
That's
a
it.
lot of great lines, a lot of great moments
Yeah.
in that. The Cab Calloway,
Right?
you know, that whole thing. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
There's no
okay.
way you're tapping that.
I think so.
I don't know.
If it's not my number one, if it's not the first Fast and Furious movie, which has its
Please don't.
weaknesses, I suppose,
It better
it's
be good.
got to be Talladega Nights.
Impressive. I didn't think you were gonna pull that one out.
If you aren't first, you're last, Ricky Bobby.
Well, see, and that's one with a lot of good lines too, like Blues Brothers.
It is a laugh a minute
Yeah.
comedy, and it does it without offending NASCAR fans or drivers. They love it. They think it's hilarious
Right.
as a parody, and it is a laugh a minute. The story is great.
Yeah.
It has heart as well, and it's just fun. And it has Mike Joy in it.
Of course, so it's our coworker for Barrett Jackson,
and
Mike
he does
Joy.
a great job. When Ricky Bobby's I'm on fire, I'm on fire, and he stripped down to the end where Mike Joy is commenting on it, and it's just so funny. They got NASCAR to sort of endorse a parody movie
Yeah.
that is just so funny at the same time.
Yeah.
And
That's a good call.
of course why am I blanking out on Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, Ricky Bobby.
Who's the
Will
actor?
Ferrell?
No, the
other guy.
other guy. The Borat. What's his name?
Oh, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen
Yeah.
shows up as the Formula One driver who's
Yes.
just dominating Formula
Oh.
One and wants to dominate in NASCAR, and he's just so arrogant, like breaks his arm in a second when they started getting a bar
good.
fight. But just that dinner scene, just that out of context,
Yeah.
is just so hilarious. It's thanking his sponsors in the family
Yeah.
prayer with the 6-pound, 8-ounce baby Jesus and all of his sponsors, and then they have Mountain Dew and pizza and
Right.
KFC. Like it's just
So
terrible. And
good.
then the outside of the house and the cars parked up front is just funny to look at. Like I can watch that movie over and over again and just laugh every time.
Okay, you might, I don't know, what do you think? Blues Brothers versus Talladega Nights.
Ricky Bobby.
That's pretty
You ain't
close.
first, you're last. Thank you so much for watching.